Welcome to PhD with Women on IT Hack the Future. My name is Beata Young, and today's PhD Positivity Hack delivered will be by our guest, Kari de Phillips. Today's title, Sisters in SEO. PhD episode 27 starts here. Let me remind you, this is a grassroots community that focuses on women on IT, an inclusive forum of women in technology, startups, and female leaders who are supported by men as well. And I bring heart to that hustle because empathy is my mojo, and empathy is critical when you are sister in SEO. The two most important days in your life are the day you are born and the day you find out why. In today's episode, we are going to learn from Sisters in SEO, Kari de Phillips. Our guest is the CEO of The Content Factory, a digital PR agency that specializes in SEO and social media marketing. TCF is one of the top SEO agencies in the English-speaking world. That's too many. TCF, SEO, CEO, Kari. So your portfolio features a wide variety of purpose-driven brands, including Astroglide, Fairtrade America, POLYWOOD, enterprise-level SaaS companies, and a lot of others in between. They represent multiple billion-dollar accounts. And SERPstat recently named Kari one of the top 3 women in the industry. Kari was named Limit-Breaking Female Founder, and NBC News referred to her as a CEO who takes job perks to the max due to the fact that all of TCF's employees work from home or wherever there is Wi-Fi. She founded Sisters in SEO Facebook group, which at plus 7,000 members is the largest network of women in the industry. And if you love Instagram as much as I do, feel free to follow her channel. Lots of fun life of a digital nomad. So you don't need to be a genius, just be yourself and join us today. It's time to become a sister in SEO. Time for Women on IT Hack the Future. Let's start with off-the-topic question, Kari. How did it start with you? What was the journey of becoming digital nomad?
So my digital nomad journey really started as my journey as a CEO and my journey as an expert in the world of SEO, which for those of you who don't know means search engine optimization. It sounds like a mouthful, right? But essentially what SEO is getting your brand to rank number 1 for specific search terms that your target audience is looking for, so that Google or the other, the search engine, the other search engines send targeted traffic to your door that is ready to convert. So when you hear SEO, what you need to think of is what you find when you search Google or your favorite search engine, right? And people like me and other sisters in SEO are the ones who are determining what you find. And it's a multi-billion-dollar industry. And I happen to be an expert in it. And this is, I'm very excited to share this expertise with you and hopefully give you some actionable info that you can take moving forward to generate organic traffic, organic search traffic that converts and delivers you sales. And we have, I know that I'm speaking to women in tech, and I love tech, and we have a ton of killer software as a service stories, but really SEO works for every industry. And so how I got into SEO is I started in advertising. And I had my dream job, but I had a creepy boss. And I didn't want to work there anymore. And so I started researching ways that I could supplement my income through copywriting. And what I stumbled into was the wonderful world of SEO, which requires a lot of blog content or just content in general. So within 3 months, I had fully replaced my my daytime job, highly paid daytime job, with just SEO content. So I was writing the content that you find when you search for, like, let's say, best cure for X ailment or best dating site. I was writing a lot of dating content back in the days. Now we have clients who have barbecues, right? So my writers are currently on the battlefield of ranking #1 for best barbecue for, X budget, or ranking for certain names of barbecues versus another brand. Those always do well. But anyway, I became an SEO expert. And what I realized quickly was I don't have to go to an office to accomplish this job. That was something that I really resented in the advertising world, was that I was expected, and I'm sure a lot of you ladies are going to feel me, I was expected to suit up every day. And like, I have what I'll affectionately call is like an unruly hair texture. It takes me a lot of time to blow dry this. And then I've got to wear heels now. And really? And do I need to do all that? No, you don't need to do that, right? And so when I started my agency, I grew through SEO, right? And when I founded the Content Factory, I was like, first of all, as an agency owner, it's going to save me a lot of money to not have this overhead. Second of all, I actually ran the math on this. I'm that much of a geek and that much of an evangelist for the work from home lifestyle. I polled a bunch of people and I knew my own stats, right? But on average, and this includes the males on my staff, the men on my staff who don't have the hair and makeup and heel routine. At least most of them don't, not usually they don't, right?
Usually, yeah.
And not usually they don't. So the actual numbers are this. It's mind-boggling. My team, on average, every single person, again, this is average because I ran high, 500 hours a year by what I call skipping the get ready to do what you're already ready to do routine. I don't need to suit up. I don't need to commute 45 minutes to an office and then pay for the privilege of parking downtown and all of that crap that comes along with it. And so in 2010, when I founded my agency, I was just so I'm not going to. And what that opened me up to was the best talent that I could find. Because at the time, I lived in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which has a lot of wonderful people in it. But if I was limited to hiring the talent that was in that particular town and commute to an office that, by the way, they didn't need to be at in the first place, and I didn't need to be paying for either, I'd be placing myself and my agency in an artificial box, right? So by opening the workforce up to anyone with a Wi-Fi connection, now I'm able to seek top talent from all around the country and also all around the world. And I'm able to make things happen for my clients at a lower price point. So for me, working from home was the best gift that I ever gave myself. The second best gift that I ever gave myself, and it was a result of the first, is I realized that if I can work from home, girl, I can work from anywhere, right? And so I put my show on the road. And I, in 2017, I put all of my stuff in a 10 by 10 storage shed. I created the Workationing podcast, and I traveled the world for years, documenting everything on the podcast, knocking out bucket list items. I flew planes. I went cage diving with sharks in South Africa. I entered poker tournaments in Montreal. Like I got up to all kinds of weird stuff, right? But it was because I wasn't tethered to a particular place, and it was because my work enabled me to do this. And once I saw what this lifestyle and work style could offer, I became just the most hardcore evangelist for it. You can I was in Fast Company, Forbes, NBC News, just all kinds of places, because I was utilizing the freedom that the work from home lifestyle afforded to do all kinds of cool things, and then like kind of tell other people that it was possible too.
So, in other words, digital nomading is so last year. What's next after that, Kari?
For me personally? Or for
yes, you're at the moment, you're not in US, right? You're from California.
I'm in Amsterdam. Yeah. I'm from California. I live in Amsterdam. COVID has really put a damper on my travel plans. And that's not the least of it, right? Like, I'm fortunate enough to say that's quarantine was the worst that I experienced personally through COVID. But I'm hopeful that with vaccinations and, whatever measures are going to nip this thing in the bud, eventually I'll be able to get out there and travel again. And I plan to continue relentlessly traveling, relentlessly working, because I'm fortunate enough to actually love the work that I do and the clients that I have. I really found my niche in the search engine optimization thing. And with that comes PR skills. So I was able to get into these media publications, and we're able to get our clients millions of dollars worth of media coverage every year, because we're good at PR. But you have to be good at PR because you need backlinks. And those are really important for SEO. And we have a guide that will be, I think it's in the show notes, right? That will outline how to research SEO keywords. It will get you started down the path. And then if you just keep following the guides, we will walk you through that process. And then we also have a very, very handy guide to how to get major media coverage for your companies or for yourself. And that comes with a pitch template. And again, this guide walks you through the process and gives you everything that you need to generate media coverage and backlinks for yourself within the first 90 days.
Fantastic. So we are sharing it in the chat right now. So if anybody would like to follow up on these guides, they are more than welcome. And we need to focus on talking about SEO because the algorithm won't like us and will get us somewhere in the deep, deep black hole of the internet. So Kari, let's go back to the basics of SEO. You've explained what comes behind it,
right,
how to do it. Maybe let's start with some basics. How do you start building your rapport, your brand? How do you position yourself among so many searches and so many brands that are similar to yours?
Well, it really helps to know what you're talking about, right? And I can't imagine that there are many people, many ladies who are watching this or listening to this. And if you're taking the step to listen or watch content like this, you're already ahead of the game. So the first step is to know what you're talking about. The second step is to write about it, and to write about it in the right way, which means identifying which search terms your target audience is looking for when they don't know that they're looking for you. So, for example, I have written 3 blog posts over at the Content Factory's website that have generated each over $1 million worth of contracts for my company. One of them has driven over $5 million worth of, and it's like, here's how I did it. I ranked number one, my content ranked number one for cost of social media marketing. Here's why that's important as an agency that provides social media marketing services. If you're searching for the cost of something, it's because you're in the research phase before making a purchase. And if you find this wonderful piece of content that answers all of your questions, and then also strategically throughout, references case studies and really thoroughly demonstrates expertise, well, you don't have to search anymore. You're just going to contact that company. And that's how we've essentially gotten all of our clients over at the Content Factory. I don't have a sales team. I've never had to have one. All of our clients, including the billion-dollar brands that we work with, have found us through organic search. So my agency ranks number one for cost of social media marketing. And I'm not sure if we do now, it fluctuates all the time, right? But that post I wrote in 2013, I've updated it several times, but that post I wrote in 2013 has generated millions of dollars worth of business for my company and continues to drive sales today. We do the same thing for our clients. So Sensicom Weighted Blankets is a wonderful company, and weighted blankets science has shown they do all kinds of good things. For me, they really help me with anxiety, right? Anyway, we have written blog posts that have generated thousands, tens of thousands of dollars per post. And because those posts continue to rank, it's not like advertising where you have to keep paying for it in order to get the traffic, in order to get the results, right? With SEO, if you rank, you'll likely continue to rank. And those posts that you wrote years ago will continue to drive sales and traffic your way. I have to, if you'll excuse me, I have to plug in my laptop real quick. Welcome to my kitchen.
Hello, kitchen. That's good.
1 second.
Some action here. We've got some comments coming from our lovely audience. We've got Erms, who's saying, "Hi, Karen, glad to have you here in PhD." We also have got Patrick, who's asking us first question. Patrick is asking you, Kari, I hope you're okay to answer in a second. Are there any other services?
Yes?
Yeah. Okay. Are there any other services like Haro that are worth using? Haro that you just recommended for us to use.
Okay, so my next question will be, where are you based? Because that makes a huge difference. Now I can turn the brightness. Okay, so if you are based in the UK, you want to go with response source. And I'm going to type it here in the chat.
Yep.
Now, if you're in Australia or New Zealand, you want to go with SourceBottle.
Okay.
If you, this is a newcomer onto the field, right? And it works for, they have so many high profile contacts that I think you get 3 responses per month for free. Otherwise, I want to say it's like $400 a month-ish. It's not for free, but quoted is really worth the bang for, like, it's worth it. Now, if you it's like mostly a US thing if you're looking to get a jump start on HARO queries. And also, to be frank, a lot of journalists are really over the HARO game because they'll send out a query and they're not getting the quality of responses that they're looking for. If you want to hack that, check out the how to write a HARO pitch that works and that template. That template will work for all of these different HARO similar sources, I'll call it. And then ProfNet is also not free.
Kaboom.
But it's a good one. And
Yep.
it's honestly more targeted toward the US audience. So if you're outside of the US, I would go for a response source if you're in the UK, Source Battle if you're in, let's say, Australia or New Zealand. Quoted though, understand that, and also with Haro and also with all media opportunities in general, understand that so many of these get syndicated. So if you end up in, let's say, Yahoo, you're going to end up in like 15 other different places, and most of those backlinks are do follow backlinks. Again, here's why I care about PR as somebody who's an SEO expert. A huge part of SEO is backlink building. And it's not just like every backlink is the same. You can like hit up your friend Carol for a backlink to like help with your Google juice. That's not how it works.
Hold on a second. What does it mean, backlink?
Backlink. So one site linking from like one website linking to yours, or to a piece of content on your site, right?
Okay.
So this is why media coverage is really important if you're serious about SEO. If you can get backlinks from media outlets, if you can get a media outlet to link to your website, then you get like extra Google juice, for lack of a better term. It's called domain authority. And the more important the website, the more valuable the backlink. And if you want to hack the best backlinks, you do so through media coverage. In addition to the backlink value, there's direct sale value. Some of our clients have gotten hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of sales from one backlink, one media mention. One of my clients was on the Today Show. She got a full 3-minute segment singing her song. That was through a Haro query that started out as a Huffington Post article. So once you get media coverage, you'll find it ripples out, right? And what that means to you is that like the search engines are going to rank your content higher, because if high authority websites are linking to yours, it's signaling to their search crawlers that your website is providing valuable information, right? On the other side of it, and this is why I'm like such an evangelist for PR, sometimes media coverage drives a lot of sales. Just on the click-through value, forget the SEO value of it. It's people are finding out about your brand, and then they're making purchases as a result of, being aware that you exist. Media coverage is hands down the best for that. And on top of it, you get social proof, which means you get to say as featured in or as featured on this site, this site, this site. And what that does to your sales pages is it increases the conversion rate. So not only are more people finding the content that you create, not only are more people being aware of your brand, not only are your sales pages now converting better, but it comes as like the sum of all parts is greater than, or I guess how's that saying go? The whole is greater than each individual part, and it all works together. Now you have social media fodder. Now you have something to say on social media. Now you have something to share on your LinkedIn, right? And it's evergreen content. So you can share that on your social once a month from here until eternity, Thrive
I
will
can
be
tell
working
you, my
with you.
social media guru Veronica, together with Marianne, can hear that, and they are definitely like, yay, evergreen, because you can post it and you don't have to work on stuff. But here's the thing: what about people? And I have to mention his name. My husband's got one of the most popular names and surnames, so you can find him as a murderer, you can find him as a philosopher. Also, he's been a weather forecast quotation used. And so there is a confusion, I'm sure there is somewhere. So how to protect your brand and make sure that this brand, this name and surname is only associated with specific person?
I have bad news and a sad story for you. Since you asked.
Go on.
Okay, so I've been an expert witness in a federal case where a lady was arrested and she was sent to jail, and there were booking photos for a crime that she did not commit, and it was proven that she did not commit it. However, she has a unique name, and anytime somebody searches for her name, they find the booking photo. And let me tell you, she was a soccer mom on her way to go pick up her kids from school. And when she got to the court to have her, and they make you take off your glasses and everything, it was just like mascara and like it was not a pretty photo. But the problem is she has these kids, right? And it's a relatively small town, and I don't have children, but if I did, and I understand why these parents do, they Google the names of who their kids are going to go hang out with, right? Problem for this lady. She's got a very unique name. She was brought in for a crime she didn't commit. There are media stories that say like exonerated and all of this stuff, but they're on page 2. And how often do you click to the second page of search results? And if you were a parent and you searched for this lady's name and you found this horrible mugshot photo, truly like a woman at her most vulnerable point, and just, of course she was crying, and of course she looked disheveled and whatnot, but this is what you see. You're not going to let your kid, well, I won't say you, but enough people wouldn't let their kids hang out at her house that she ended up suing. And I testified as to like the damage of this, because this lady, I think she was a home healthcare aide. She was never going to get media coverage to be able to push down those search results. She'd have to win the lotto, or, you know, like something crazy else would, on top of this, would have to happen to push that down. If you have a common name, it's ultra important that somehow you differentiate yourself. So maybe add a middle initial, because if you've got a very John Smith, good luck with that.
Yep.
If you're John J.S. Smith and you work at, I should say Joan or Jackie.
Yep.
But if you have a common name, try to find a way to either add a middle initial or a middle initial plus, you know, here's my area of expertise. And so when somebody searches Jackie Smith, and it's like you're a graphic designer, let's say, or you're an app developer, like Jackie S. Smith, graphic or app developer, is going to serve you much better over the long run. And then as you introduce yourself, you're just like, I'm Jackie S. Smith and I develop apps. That makes you really easy to find on LinkedIn.
Fantastic. Kari, we've got a couple of questions recorded ahead of the show. I encourage everyone to use the recording session. It's on our social media channel, propagated everywhere, as well as on our website. So we've got a first question. Let's listen to Veronica's question.
Hi, Kari. Why did you set up a Facebook group? Did it help your SEO efforts in any way?
That's a great question. All right. So I created Sisters in SEO because my website, I've created a lot of like top guides regarding SEO. And if you'll click either of the links that are in that were already shared, the Hero Guide and the Keyword Research Guide, you'll find that there are what's called downloadable assets. So if you want the pitch template, you have to sign up for my email list. If you want the tracking spreadsheet, you got to sign up for the email list, right? Excuse me. And this is something that I encourage all of our clients to do, so that even if the organic traffic that comes in is not converting directly to sales, now they're on my email list. And some of my biggest clients had been email subscribers for like 3 years, but I kept staying in front of them, and eventually they signed big contracts. Well, part of that too is sometimes people just want training. So that's what the Rise and Convert course is about. If you want to learn SEO and also PR skills, that Rise and Convert course is your best bet. I've trained thousands of people in SEO. And one of these women reached out to me, and there are a lot of SEO Facebook groups. Search engine optimization is an industry, for background, is 70% male. It's largely white. And they're in these Facebook groups. I won't name them, but the large Facebook groups, and just like go to Reddit and you'll see the same thing. I'm sure, like I'm preaching to the choir here for my women in tech. It's something that we all have to deal with. And I won't say that the SEO industry is, any worse than any of the others, but I'll tell you, it's real bad over here. And so one of my trainees posted in one of these Facebook groups, hey, I'm just wondering, like, where are all the women in SEO? And, some ladies chimed in, dudes came in and like straight up called her a bitch. The group admin, no, like he disabled comments, and then he deleted the post. And it was so innocuous. It's just like, hey, where are my ladies in SEO at? And she knew that I was a lady in SEO. And so she emailed me about her experience. And we talked about it. And I was like, well, her name, by the way, is Samantha Pennington, and she's fantastic. And so she emailed me and she was like, hey, I just had this really bad experience. And, I've been thinking about maybe we should create a Facebook group. And actually, I had been thinking about it because I've had shit experiences. Can we curse over here? Sorry. I've had
Go for it.
And thank you.
We'll beep it if necessary.
Yeah, so I'll try and keep it to that one. But I've had terrible experiences throughout my career. Like I said, I was sexually harassed when I worked in advertising. That's why I created my own company. Like, I really do not like that. I'm sure there's nobody listening to this that does, right? And so Samantha reached out to me and she was like, well, I've been thinking about creating like a Facebook group, or I was thinking about a Facebook group. And I was just like, yes, I am all in on this. She didn't know how to grow it. And so I helped her. We co-founded Sisters in SEO. It was like less than 3 years ago, I feel like. And it was around 3 years ago, we'll call it. And my website ranks for a ton of content-based keywords. If you look for web content writer, hey, it's your girl, I'm still here, right? And so I updated all of our blog content regarding SEO to reference this Facebook group. And it turns out SEO principles apply. in a lot of weird places, including Facebook groups. So when we titled the group Sisters in SEO, as people were searching SEO, it would just like come up. And if you're a lady in SEO, you're just like, ah. And the full name of the group is Sisters in SEO, skill sharing and networking for women and gender diverse folks. So we take a very broad and inclusive approach to sisters. Certainly, gender neutral, get on in here, And so I think that helps set us apart too. The group is a really inclusive place, and obviously it was needed because we're up to 10,000 people now. 10,000.
Obviously.
It has become the largest network of women in the industry. So if you're a lady in tech and you don't find the support in your industry that you're looking for in these like types of Facebook groups or communities, Reddit, subreddits, whatever. I'm less familiar with Reddit. I find it to be a more toxic place. But create your own. Team up with your friends, invite your other people. If you're into the app development space, or if you're into graphic design or whatever, and you find like your group environments to be toxic, create your own space and then promote it. And that's what I did with Sisters in SEO. I created the group because it was needed in the industry. Like these Facebook groups were run by these dude bros who were allowing all kinds of shenanigans to occur. And by shenanigans, I mean sexist stuff, racist stuff. I don't want to say the Wild West because it's like somehow too nice, but like it wasn't, I don't mean to be kind, right? But,
right. I know what you mean. I know, because this is why we created Women on IT, to create a forum for open community for everyone to speak up and also feel confident speaking up about all the things that are happening behind our back, in front of us, and next to us, to create a better technology. So we've got Erms asking a question. What motivates you to stay on track with your chosen field, Kari?
All right, so I know that I'm talking to a bunch of ladies in tech here, right? And tell me,
how did you guess?
So I feel like we all share a passion. My particular area of expertise is search engine optimization and public relations, right? And I love it. I'm great at it. I can show you headlines in the Wall Street Journal. Well, I'll just take you over here. Let's go on a tour. Yeah?
Yay.
So through my skills, right?
Yep.
Right. Towns say thanks, but no thanks to militarized police. This is quoting protest signs that I created, right? And like promoted. And I've got like a couple others over here that I'll spare you on. But what I'm getting at is the overall impact of what I do. The people who are great at SEO are to a large degree writing the internet that you experience every day. Every time you ask Alexa or Siri or Google a question, somebody like me is writing the search results. And like ideally, you want somebody like me to really care about representation. Make sure that it's not all old white dudes who are the executives represented in images, making sure that just diversity and inclusivity are what you come to expect on the internet instead of the rare cases of. And quite frankly, right now, it's the rare cases of. So I kind of view it as like I'm getting into the fight, right? And I'm sure that so many women in tech they're in the fight too. What are you working on, girl? I bet you it's something cool, right? And so I want to celebrate that. And I'm happy to have created a space in search engine optimization that celebrates that. But women in tech, we are walking a very difficult road. And that road is riddled with misogynists, sneaky misogynists and sexism that you like can't even quite put your finger on, but you're pretty sure it's there. And it's like, yeah, girl, it's there. And I find so much sisterhood and empowerment and women helping other women, women teaching other women, women banding together to, you know, educate ourselves, solve problems, network, you know, give money to each other, like in exchange for services and goods that are awesome. I think that it's a wonderful economy. It's a thought economy, and it's also like an actual monetary economy as well. And I think that any way that I can encourage that through SEO or otherwise, it's certainly motivating to me.
Great. We've got a question from Marianne. Let's listen to this question. Marianne is coming with her voice.
Hello. My question is, how do you keep yourself on top of any changes that happen in the search engine optimization world? Is there a source or newsletter you can recommend? Thank you so much.
Thank you, Marianne. It's very similar question to Arms. But the difference is, how do you keep track of changes?
So there are a
newsletter.
There are a few great resources. Search Engine Journal is a great one. Google that, you'll find it. Search Engine Journal. They have a wonderful editorial staff, and actually they have representation on their staff. I know this for a fact because these ladies are in Sisters in SEO. It's a really good source of information. But if I may venture an observation, it's this. Too many people think that SEO is like, it's kind of ever changing, but not really. As long as you're not gaming the system, you're not going to get slapped down. And I can tell you that the tactics that I used in 2011, 2013 are still working today because my content still ranks and we're still getting all of those sales and leads and clients. So definitely stay on top of, maybe there's an algorithm update coming soon that's going to, let's say target site speed. Well, then just make sure that your images are compressed and your site speed's running smooth. You can use a tool called SEMrush, SEMrush, and it will, here, I'll type it here.
Perfect.
It will tell you all of the ways in which your website could be improved. And then it'll tell you how to fix it. So there are some fundamental things, but once you have a fast running website that has a good, sitemap and things are easy to find and you're writing content that targets the right keywords, just follow that guide above. You'll be fine. But there aren't so many changes that you need to worry about unless you're operating in the what's called black hat world. And so if you're doing shady stuff, you should probably know that there are consequences coming down the line at some point. But if you don't do shady things, then you don't have anything to fear.
Oh, that's a perfect question in Guyan's word. Guyan is asking something about that. Let's go to his question now.
Hi, Kari. What is a black hat SEO technique?
Okay. Well, there are all kinds. Yeah, there's a bunch.
Let's put our black hats on.
Yeah. So the most common one is buying backlinks. And if you have a website that generates any amount of traffic, at some point, these agencies will reach out to you and they'll say, hey, you're missing a lot of backlinks. We can help you get these backlinks and we'll guarantee you backlinks. And honestly, if anybody ever guarantees you backlinks, it's because they're either buying them or they're part of a PBN, Professional Blog Network, which means they own, let's say, 50 different websites. And then all of a sudden you sign up for their backlink package. And then these 50 different websites will all link back to you. Are they germane to the conversation? Do they have anything to do with your website? Probably not, but it doesn't matter because you didn't ask and they were just selling you backlinks. And so they do this and they do this and they do this up until the point where their network gets burned. And with that, what I mean by that is that Google will blacklist the entire network, including, unfortunately, for those who have paid for these links and these services, including your website, if you buy a bunch of shady backlinks. And you can get that penalty lifted. It takes a lot of time and a lot of expertise, and it's better not to do it. So if you're out there thinking you can buy your way to backlinks, you can, and it might work for a while, but eventually you will get slapped down and you'll wish you didn't do it.
Good advice. Thank you so much, Kari. I think it's time to mention another sister in SEO, and I'm sorry for mixing the name because I thought it's Sisters of SEO, like Sisters of Mercy, but it's Sisters in SEO. So let's get straight. We've got Tamar Yeshua, Director of Product Management on Google Search. When she was asked, is there a roadmap for how search will look a few years from now in 2013, she was asked, and she answered, our vision is the Star Trek computer. You can talk to it, it understands you, and it can have a conversation with you. What can you say about that, Kari?
She said that in 2013?
Yep.
Yeah, listen, it's 2021 and I am living that dream. I just had a meeting with my editor before this call, and what she's saying is 100% true. So my editor, Lindsay Weissman, is fantastic, and we were going over, how to, we were looking at new hires and their content and talking about, basic principles of SEO and how to make the content better. And I told her, Lindsay, she asked me, she was like, oh, did you notice in the featured snippet box, which sometimes you search for something and then Google answers that question either entirely or mostly for you? Well, now Google's starting to highlight in yellow the specific answer to your question when you drop down. And I was like, Lindsay, I am the Google expert. But, man, I don't really Google many things anymore. Why? Because I am on the go. And so I don't have Alexa, Amazon Alexa or any of those services, but I do have Siri. And I ask Siri all kinds of things. And if in some cases, the voice to search or the quick answer, the featured snippet that I'm talking about, or I was talking about earlier, in some cases that can annihilate an industry. And others, it doesn't, it helps. So for example, if you're looking for how hot is it going to be today? And maybe you ask Siri or maybe you ask Google, it doesn't really matter. Could ask Alexa, it's all the same thing. It's a one answer question. It's going to be, X degrees today. Well, you don't need to know anymore. How long do I cook a hard-boiled egg? I've actually asked Siri that recently, which tells you a little bit about my cooking skills, right? But that's a quick answer. How much does social media marketing cost? I already told you I rank for that, so I'll go back to that as an example. Well, that's not a quick answer because it ranges from $250 to $250 a month to $25,000 a month. And you're like, well, that's a big spread. And if you Google this right now, I think it still comes up in the answer box. Well, you have to click on that to learn more information. So if you're a recipe provider, you're kind of screwed. If you are a song lyric provider, so people are constantly Googling the lyrics to songs, and there are websites that used to get just millions of hits every day just for song lyrics, and they were able to monetize that through advertising, right? So advertisers would be like on the sidebar while you're looking at your lyrics, right? Google started scraping that, and there are lawsuits against Google. I believe they're still pending. But Google just scrapes that now. And so all of these websites, the song lyric websites, went from getting millions of hits a day to basically none because Google scraped their content and put it in an answer box. And unlike, how do you write a press release, which Siri can't tell you that, the answer box can't tell you that, I can tell you that, right? But you're going to click through for that. So the more complex the answer, if it's an extended how-to and it's not a recipe, right? Having the featured snippet box, or, having a question that's too complicated for Siri. SEO is really complicated. Siri can't speak that back to me. Alexa can't do it. You really want to have screen grabs and a walkthrough on that, right? So my industry it benefited from this like quick answer, click here, because I dominated those search results, right? But in some cases, if it's a quick answer, you're kind of screwed. In tech, when is the answer ever quick, right? So I feel like the tech industry, and through experience with my clients, I can tell you that the tech industry is far behind on SEO. There's a lot of opportunities there that are not being taken advantage of. And the companies and the startups in particular that are quick to get into SEO are quick to attract investor attention. Same thing with PR. If you can show that you've been featured in Forbes, or you had a big media push with a lot of hits, sharing your expertise, well, suddenly you're a lot more attractive as an entrepreneur or as a member of a team or as a company than you were before.
And you have to go to Kari the Phillips. Content Factory is going to get you positioned well. Let's go to another question. In Love and in Pain is asking, is it possible to master SEO in a week or a month? I hope the answer is not going to give you any pain. In Love and in Pain.
No. All right. So it depends, right? You can master the essentials of SEO in a day. If you spent let's call it a 10-hour day, you put in a little extra, you could really learn a lot. But so much of this is why a lot of clients hire the Content Factory. In order to be great at SEO, you need to be great at backlink building, which that guide I wrote really makes it easy for you. There's a template, just go get it and then start getting your own media coverage, right? But it's like a not often discussed, but it's just a law. It's a true fact. If you're not a great writer, you will not be able to outrank your competition. There's AI coming up. There are at least a half dozen AI services that claim to be able to write blog content for you that will rank. I've tested them all out. If they actually worked, believe me, I would just be firing my writing staff to save money. But they don't. And the content that I'm personally offended. You say that this is good, this is absolute trash. But so if you're not a good writer, if you don't know how to write for SEO, and the Rise and Convert course will cover all of that for you. But some people are great copywriters and some people are not. And if you're not a great copywriter, it's highly unlikely, even if you do everything else right, it's highly unlikely that you're going to be able to create content that ranks. Because at the end of the day, you can have a fast website, you can, have a bunch of backlinks, but if you don't have content that's going to really rank for the keywords that you're targeting, you're not going to rank at all. So content is the number one aspect of SEO. And if you can't create the content, but you can create the strategy, I would recommend hiring and like knowing enough about SEO to, hire somebody else, a freelancer, to create that content for you. It'll take a weight off of your shoulders if they're competent, or hiring an agency to create the strategy. And then again, so my agency, we train people, we build out strategies, we will offload them, we will train your staff ourselves. But in some cases, it's just depending on the budget, just hire an agency to take care of it for you, because the sooner you act, the sooner you're going to be able to rank, except for, and this is a real problem, SEO is not.
Kari, I would say it's possible to lose 5 kilos in a week, but where is the starting point? What do we have to present, and how much effort you're going to put in it? That will be my answer, because we can all dream big, we can think the great things about our capabilities and so on, but really, at the end of the day, we can't get an instant solution. And I think this millennial things is now, we have to have it now, now, with extra double cappuccino on top. And unfortunately, it takes time to have Kari's expertise on the topic.
No.
So Kari,
it's not even my expertise. Let's say you do it all right. If you start SEO today, it's going to be 6 months from the time you hit publish on the content to the time it actually starts to rank. And it's going to take a year, especially if you're a new site, for it to actually settle in on where it's going to rank. So SEO is not a quick game. It's got long-term returns like you would not believe. But I didn't get there overnight. It took me years to build this up. It takes us years to build up our clients' presence too. If you're looking for a quick win, quick fix, I would highly recommend ads. If you're looking for long-term return on investment, I would highly recommend SEO.
Fantastic answer. Thank you so much, Kari. We've got a question from Chico.
Hello, ladies. So my question is, what do you suggest to do make content marketers, UX, UI designers, and management happy, and how to find the middle ground for all parties involved in the website creation?
That's a tricky one.
Can you repeat that question?
To have user experience. So you need to have user experience happy, you need to have management happy, and you have to have a usable website created. How to find the middle ground to make all the parties concerned happy? Because marketers will want to have lots of flashy pictures, lots of, a little bit of this and that and the other. Then user experience, user interface, people will want a simple, clean interface. So how to find the middle ground?
It's simple and difficult. Communication and collaboration, right? So it's a lot of Zoom calls that you'd rather not be on, but then everyone's on the same page. And as long as there are action items and everyone is working together to achieve the goal, then at the end, it's not the UX person did this. And it's that screwed up everything. But if there were communication and collaboration, you would have caught that early on and been able to solve that before it becomes a crisis, right? Or a problem, God forbid, a problem in front of the client. Because I, as an agency owner, we have to work with all kinds of other people. We have to work with in-house resources with our clients. We have to work with the other agencies that they work with. We have to work with the contractors that they work with, who we know aren't going to be around next month, but they're here right now and they have opinions too, right? And they were also hired for their part of the job. So communication, collaboration, running toward awkward conversations instead of running away from them. So if you see that somebody's going off rails, maybe don't CC the whole team, maybe just sidebar with the person and say, hey, here's how this is affecting me. Can we chat this out one-on-one, come to a solution, and it all goes a lot smoother. But where I see a lot of breakdown is in a lack of communication and a lack of collaboration. And the two are very different. because you can communicate with somebody, but can you collaborate with somebody or another team? It's really a different game. And, collaboration with the client's best interest at heart means often putting aside your ego. And that's difficult for some people to do. But if you're able to do that, you'll achieve more success, in my experience.
They probably have to join Sisters in SEO, and then they're gonna have all happy ending. So
for sure.
We are coming to the end of the show. Are you working on any exciting new projects right now, Kari?
I'm writing a book.
Oh, wow. Tell me about it.
So I am writing a book. It's about agility in life and business. Oh, my cat is saying hello.
Hello, cat.
And it covers basically how I started. I was beyond broke when I created my company. I started it. There's her tail. I started it with $500 that I put toward a website and some SEO skill. And through that, I built a multi-million-dollar agency and traveled the world with a workationing podcast and project. So I'm just going to wrap that into a book. It's about halfway done. And I'm excited about that, actually. I'd like to inspire other people, women in particular, to get out of the office environment and, take their remote work wherever they want to take it.
Fantastic. You definitely inspired us today, Kari, during this show. We've got a question about your life lesson quote. Can you tell us what it is and how it changed your life?
Sure. It changed my life kind of post-mortem, or not post-mortem, but it changed my life later on. Still living. Just get started. Just get started. Because I had the idea for the Content Factory back in 2005. And then in 2007, I was really just like, girl, you should probably create your own company. And then I didn't. And it took me until 2010. It was 5 years past the point where I should have, in my mind, created my company. And when I think about it, I would have a 5-year head start on where I am right now. And I would be so much further in my career and in my goal achievement that I would be right now. And it was imposter syndrome that held me back. It was, I was afraid to break norm that held me back. There were all kinds of things that held me back. And I wish I would have just gotten started sooner. And I think a lot of people, whether it's SEO, because again, SEO is a long game. You're not you start today and you're going to start seeing results in 6 months. So when are you going to get started? Is it ever going to be ever? When are you going to get started on your email drip campaign? That took me way too long. And I recognize the value now. Email is a huge driver of sales for my agency. We've got, 20,000 subscribers. I could have 100,000 subscribers, though. I just didn't get started soon enough. And especially in tech, the earlier you adopt, the more expertise you get, the better you are. It's just adopt earlier, get started. And that's the number one piece of advice that I give to basically anyone who asks is just get started, because at some point you're going to. And my biggest regret in business is that I didn't get to it sooner.
One life, no regrets, Kari. So pug it, as the saying goes. Actually, I was presenting some time ago, and instead of using the F word, I said pug it, because we had a pug who was, even though a very small dog, but was very brave. And he didn't give a qualm about which shop corner he was going to pee on. He was just pugging it. So, Kari, question that I ask everyone: imagine the lockdown and all the regulation around travel is over, and you can pick any country, any place in the world, and pick any person to have a private breakfast with. who would you pick and where would you go to have that special meeting?
I'm so happy you asked this. I've been thinking about it all day because you gave me the heads up, and it has been, it's been a tight competition. I knew where I was taking them. First of all, we're going to Antarctica because I have one more. I've got Australia and Antarctica to hit, and then I will have hit all 7 continents. I was planning to save Antarctica for last, but like in my dream world, we can hit it first. That's fine. And it works with the isolation, right? Because it takes forever to get to Antarctica. So I get a little extra more time with Oprah Winfrey, who will teach me all kinds of things. Hopefully, I just like basking in the presence of Oprah Winfrey. I wish I could. Oh, I just want to know what she smells like. Honestly, I bet you it's good.
Excellent. In the wake of Harry and Meghan's interview, I think you're gonna present yourself even better than the royalties of Britain. So I'm sorry for that sideline. I just couldn't resist that. I know that lots of women are still living it. There is, 2 sides of the story, and it's get people polarized. And since we are talking about Antarctica, I thought that's the only conversation I could have at the end. So our greatest glory is not in never failing, but in raising every time we fall, Confucius. Sometimes you need a little crisis to get your adrenaline flowing and help you realize your potential. Kari, it's been excellent show. I loved your presentation. I love your group. I'm looking forward to hear the book, to see the book coming, and I'm looking forward to hear from you because I hope we can also sign up to your lovely group. Kari, thank you so much for explaining how to do the search engine optimization. It's been beautiful to chat to everyone in the show and have questions from Patrick L. Young, Erms M, Veronica, Marianne, Chico, Guyan, and in love and in pain, I hope no more. Thank you so much. Here is a day you can start your positivity day and see the positive you want to see. Next week, we are going to come and learn how to define your visual brand and visual identity. Kari, I hope it's siding nicely with your topic. And I wish you all, my dear viewers, to succeed wherever you are in the world, whether Antarctica, whether it's somewhere in Europe as we are at the moment. It's beautiful and sunny, as you can see. Have a lovely day and see you next week. Thank you.